The story is about a man who starts out to make a difference in the lives of the people around him. And once he starts getting that power, he starts to get comfortable with it, and then he starts to misuse it. And then something really eventful happens in his life that makes him rethink his priorities. But before he can go back to coming from integrity instead of coming from that need for power, he's assassinated.
The character I play is Willie Stark. He was a rural politician. He was a county treasurer, a small-town attorney. He gained favor with the populace by fighting against some corruption, which he lost that battle, and the corruption caused the death of a few children, and that kind of helped him skyrocket to political fame and the governorship.
I played Jack Burden, and he is the storyteller of this play. And he travels quite an arc. He starts out, I think he's a little too intelligent for his own good in the beginning, but isn't quite directed. And he moves from thing to thing and winds up working for a newspaper, and that leads him into political issues. And as a character, he gets taken by truth. He winds up finding himself in this search for truth and what's right, and it's not always so clear.
My name's Kat Gould, and I'm playing Sadie Burke in All the King's Men. Sadie was raised in pretty dire poverty and lost her brother when she was pretty young, so she had a pretty tough beginning, and it made her a real survivor. She's worked her way up in the world of politics by hook or crook, and she's now kind of in a position where she can kind of exercise a little power of her own, and she likes to do that. There's just a ton of information about Sadie in the book. About her mannerisms, her character. She's a really fun, wild kind of individual. I really enjoy her character. And also the original film from the 1940s, played by Mercedes, she actually won the Oscar for it. She just did such a superb job with the physical qualities of Sadie that I tried to emulate that somewhat in the depiction of the character also.
My character in All the King's Men is Dr. Adam Stanton, and he is a very interesting character. He has an important role to play in the story. I feel like he kind of helps bring a little bit of humor, I guess, in ways to the story, because whenever he's in a scene, a lot of his scenes are with Jack, and the scenes he has with Jack, it's kind of them joking around, the buddy thing. But he also has an interesting arc to him because he doesn't like Willie. He's a person that wants to do good, and he feels like Willie, or Roy's character, is just completely and utterly bad.
It was very interesting costuming this show. It does take place in a period that I really enjoy. It starts in 1922 and goes through till 1938. I went through and did a lot of research on the internet and found a great 1930s Sears catalog that I was able to go through. And it not only showed me the time period of how men wore their suits, but the ladies, and a lot of home sewing was popular back then. And so I got to see a lot of the fabrics that were being used. And so it was just a lot of fun doing that part.
I recently saw in the novel a line, "Must a man give up his soul to get the power to do good?" And I think we're living in interesting times, and I think a lot of people have given up their soul to gain power. And I think at first it started to do good, and now it's just to keep the power. I remember years ago working on a training for police officers in Los Angeles. You know, on the door of the vehicle it says "to serve and protect." And these were officers who wanted to get back to why they had come into the police force, to serve and protect. They were so busy trying to stay alive and then trying to get back at all the people who had almost killed them or who had beaten them up. They'd lost their integrity. And to me, we are at a time in our country where we need to regain our integrity. Go back to that simple definition: integrity is what you do when no one else is watching.
Who believes, like we have always believed back there in the hills, that even the plainest, poorest fella could be God if his fellow citizens